What's up, YouTube? Welcome to another episode of Posi-trac from the garage. In today's episode, we are getting the axle and third member assembled. If you haven't seen my last video, I will make sure to link it in the description below. Check that out if you want to. If you don't want to, like I always say, kind of lame. Anyway, last episode we ran into some issues. I'm hoping we don't run into any issues this episode because that would really suck. But moving forward, the axle is currently at the powder coating shop getting powder coated and media blasted and powder coated black. So now I got the third member somewhat clean. Still need to clean the case and the yoke. Then it's ready to get painted. I'm doing the red oxidized primer, the old school look, so I think it'll look really good. Then we can start putting the Posi-trac in with the ring gear, the pinion, start all working the internals. So enough of me talking, let's go clean some parts. First rule of business is sandblasting this right here. This. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sandblast it, then tomorrow take it to work and kind of steam clean it real good to get all the sand out. Not that I don't think a parts washer wouldn't do that. I just really don't want any sand or any grittiness inside of the differential with a new spool, with a new ring and pinion, and just get up in the oil and just be all gritty and stuff. Then sandblast this as well. Then hopefully in this video we can get the leaf springs sanded down and painted as well. Which to sand those down, I'm just going to use these 3M brittle discs right there. They are really nice. Highly recommend you get some of these for your any type of work you need to get just rust off, mud, whatever. This thing will get down to bare metal instantly. Highly recommend these. All right, so I didn't film much of painting this or cleaning it because our sandblaster decided to act all weird and stuff, and it was late at night and I was a little frustrated. So I painted this at work, got it cleaned and painted. Looks really good, that oxidized primer color. So while we're kind of doing a couple steps. So I guess not a proper way, but a easier way to get the ring gear on your spool or locker is to put it in the freezer, because cooling shrinks, heat expands. So if you put the locker in there, it kind of gets a little tighter. That way when you put the ring gear on, it's a lot easier. So while we build this, we're gonna put the locker in there and let it freeze a little bit. Let's get out of the bag. Oop. A little bit of flash rust.
It'll be all right.
You think so?
Yeah.
Should have kept it in my room a little longer. Okay, so not gonna be using this, so I'm gonna set that aside. So this pinion support, I've already knocked the races out. They're in here. I labeled them. So there's an inner race that goes right here, and there's a race that goes in there. Because one bearing is on the actual pinion, and then one of them sits inside the pinion support. As you see, Dad got the races in, and that bottom bearing on the actual pinion. Bottom, I say the inside bearing. Now we're gonna grease up the outer bearing and kind of press the bearing down to here. That way it sits right there. Then we put the washer on, which is this, then the seal, and that holds everything kind of in together. All right, had my first oof. I'm sitting in front of the O'Reilly's right now. Well, before I say anything, if you saw the last clip, you're gonna notice something. I caught it before I went any further. I had a major brain fart and learned from my mistake and learn to stop now before it's too late. So you see this bearing that we pressed onto the pinion, and we're about to press on to the outside of the pinion that the yoke goes on. Yeah, see that? That's red cherry wheel bearing grease. You do not use wheel bearing grease in a oil bath situation. What do I mean by oil bath? A axle rear end, a solid axle, is lubricated by gear oil. Okay, so on your, like, for example, on like a Mustang or whatever, or like what I'm doing the Fairlane, where there's front wheel bearings, those are grease packed because there's no gear fluid, because they each have 2 spindles, stuff like that. It's a different style of design. On a normal rear axle, the gear fluid lubricates the entire thing. You do not mix wheel bearing grease with gear oil. Why? Is because all that grease gets packed in there and oil cannot pass through, so they cannot lubricate the rollers. So my rallies, I just bought 2 new bearings. Major oof. Good thing is they have a part number on the back. It's not the same brand, but same part number. The M86649. Got 2 of them. The National Bearing brand, I think, or something like that. If I didn't get new races, which I do have new races, and they will fit those because it's the same bearing, just different brand basically. But if I was doing this, just installing the bearings or whatever, you would you'd want to get new races, but because I already have new races, I don't gotta worry about it. But anytime you get a new bearing, you always get new races, because bearings and races, they're a married couple. They stay together. If you take an old bearing out and install a new bearing with an old race, that new bearing will prematurely wear, and it'll be no bueno. Trust me, I've seen it at work. I've seen it multiple times. So learn, guys and viewers, guys and gals, and all the viewers across the world. When I say across the world, probably just Texas, but learn from my mistake. When you see something, just stop before you make it even worse. If that means go to O'Reilly's and just spending an extra $40 to buy more bearings, just do it. Just do it. And don't have brain farts like me. Anyway, let's get back to the shop and let's build a 3rd member. Okay, we're back in the shop. New bearings. I got kind of sidetracked and started messing with this bearing that's in here. Where did it go? Here's a new one. This goes for the tip of the pinion, kind of sits right in there. So,
which bearing are you talking about?
That one right there.
Yes, that one right there.
Yes. So there's a little like spider looking ring that was on this side of it, and I kind of just beat it out with the socket. So let's see if it'll come out. Thank you, my good sir. I don't know if this is the correct way to take it out, but
it's not stupid if it works.
Yeah.
Unless it doesn't work, then it's really stupid.
True that. It is out. New one is in. I just beat it with the socket. Same way I kind of took it out and just beat that ring in there. When I say beat, I don't mean like literally beat it. Just a couple love taps. Then it got right in. Now we're going to repress the pinion bearing. We're going to press the outer bearing that's on the yoke side on like that, like so. Press that in so it's kind of like a one-piece thing with pinion support. Then after that goes this washer right here, which they didn't give me a new one, but this one's pretty straight. We'll go on that. Then after that, the seal is installed, which we'll press in as well. I got the outer bearing in, put the washer down. Now I'm gonna put the seal. Just gotta make sure it's straight. These type of seals are very common for like front mains and stuff, or front crank seals, so it's a whole lot easier to press them on a timing cover. This might be a little interesting because you have this wall right here, so we have to use an extended socket. Here's the pinion support, fully built. Pretty nice. Got the O-ring on it as well. You hear that plate? That plate's just a wear plate for this part of the yoke right there. So
got you a Posi-trac.
Oh, yeah. Hopefully that's not that won't harm it.
It won't. But now's the time to do it. Come on.
Alrighty. Now we're gonna suck the ring gear on. Oh, nice. His Posi-trac. Sweet. Ring gear is on the Posi-trac. I did torque these. Definitely did not use that. Definitely did not torque it to 80 ugga-duggas. Definitely use that for sure. For sure. Definitely not lying. Anyway, got the ring gear on the Posi-trac. Tomorrow, we're going to set the ring gear and the Posi-trac inside. Get the bearings on there. I'm going to clean up some of this flash rust as well. It's been sitting in the shop. So I like to try to spray. This prevents rust and corrosion. Slick lubricant on it. Just spray it down before I go in for the night. That way we don't get any more flash rust. And I'm sure it being in the freezer for 24 hours and coming out, all the water kind of defrosting didn't really help, but it should be fine. Got that built, which is good. Then once we get this into the actual case, we can set that in as well. Then, start working on measurements and stuff like that. That's when the fun begins. When you start using the dial indicator, the paint, the brush, the shims. That's when it really starts to get interesting. Because the stock one, I guess stock ring and pinion only had one shim, but everything's different. So that shall be interesting. So we're gonna get some rest and come back in the morning. Forgot it's Sunday night, so we're gonna come back tomorrow night after work. All right, it's the next day. We're back in the shop. It's time to put the bearings on the carrier. As you can see, there's a small gap right here. You can stick a feeler gauge right in there. And I can't over here, so it's gotta go a little more down on this side. All right, so move the case with the Posi-trac and ring gear onto the metal bench or metal toolbox. Check that out. Nice. All right, sidetracked. Got a little clearance. Just had to move the adjuster wheels a little bit and move the whole thing this way a little bit. Then we got some clearance. But before we finalize anything, we're gonna put the pinion support in, and that way we can start using the paint marker and kind of figure out what other adjustments need to be made. I took the carrier and the ring gear out because we're gonna try to put the pinion support and pinion in first, because we think that might be easier when setting this in and kind of figuring out the measurements. So let's do that real quick. Okay, got the pinion in. Right now it has the thickest shim. They are all different types of thicknesses. A couple thin ones, a couple thicker ones. So I picked the thickest one, and I have one of them right there. So that's mocked up. It's just hand tied, not torqued or anything. Now to put the carrier and the ring gear back in. Got everything together. This is just a very base mock-up. I'm going to just paint a little bit of it. And that stuff's thick. And sort of just see where I'm at. We're gonna do 3. Just to be safe. All right. That stuff is thick.
Mm-hmm.
Forgot to film this part. I don't really know why. I was mainly focused on this. That's why I didn't really film it. But we finally got a good wear pattern and got the correct shim what we think. And I say what we think is because it's my first time fully rebuilding a third member before. I put a LSD in my 66 F100 in quarantine. It's really the only rear end work I've ever done. So this is all new to me. And I know someone's going to school me in the comments. I get that. Just, if I messed up brutally bad, let me find out the hard way. That way I can learn from my mistakes. I don't need someone to roast me in the comments for it. But from what I gather, this is a pretty solid pattern. It's kind of smeared because we made a couple passes, but it's somewhat in the middle for the most part. It is not hit there anymore, which is good. Doesn't seem too tight. There's a little bit of a whine, but I can't really tell if that's because we lubed everything or a lot of the parts are dry. I'm just gonna have to figure it out once I throw it in. But I'm happy with it. I'm satisfied with it. Like I said, if something happens, I'd rather just find out the hard way than learn from my mistakes than just, correct what I messed up after, I messed it up. And I kind of know what you're thinking. You're like, Will, why would you say you want to mess up? Here's my thought process on it. Messing up or not messing up is the only accurate way I'm going to tell if I did this correct. And what do I mean by that? It's either going to run perfect or it's going to whine, and I'm going to take it out and I'm going to redo it and see what I did wrong. That's what I mean by mess up. Because I can't Google it. And the reason I can't Google it is because one site says one thing on how to measure preload, how to check wear pattern, what a good wear pattern is, stuff like that. It's just like measuring push rod length. Some website says the wear pad or the contact pattern should be this. One website says it should be this. One site says it should be this on the valve stem. Another says this. Facebook people, same way. YouTube comments, same way. Everyone has their own different opinion on it. So in my brain, Nicole, I'm gonna throw it in. If it runs great, awesome. I did a great job. If it doesn't run good and this is completely wrong, then I take it out and I redo it again. Enough of that useless rant. But like I said, wear pattern looks good to me somewhat. Not that much in play. I did do the dial indicator. I'm right at like 9 thousandths of in play, which I do know the spec is 8 thousandths to 12 thousandths of an inch. I'm at like 9 to 10-ish, right around there. So that's good. I set the preload to the best I can. I'm not going to exactly say how I did it because I don't know if it was correct or not. And I don't really want to give out false information. So yeah, I said that for the most part. Sprayed this. I am going to go back with Q-tips and lacquer thinner and kind of clean that up real well. That way the U-joint can sit on actual metal, not paint. But gotta wait for that to dry, then I'll clean it up. As far as my axle progress goes, today's Wednesday, or start Tuesday. It's supposed to be done today or tomorrow. So this may be towards the end of the video. It may not be. I don't know. If I don't get it tomorrow, this will probably be towards the end of the video. If I do, then you'll probably have another couple minutes left this video. I'm just gonna wait and find out. Just heard back from the axle place. The axle's not gonna be ready for a couple days, so I'm not gonna wait and for the axle to post this video because I really want to get this video out for you guys. So if you like this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you think in the comments, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace out.